Hey dudes, welcome back to the Bimmer Dude channel. Thanks for tuning in. Today we're working on the Mini Cooper again, so stay tuned. So guys, the main reason I picked up the forged induction pipe was because the factory when it torn. It's actually very common for these to tear in this particular area, and unfortunately for me, this actually happened while I was on my way home from work. So I had to come up with a temporary fix in order to get home. Since I was closest to a Home Depot, I basically hodgepodge some type of repair for it just to get me home, and it actually lasted me for about a week until I could get my new replacement part. I picked up this silicone hose from Forge Motorsports. This hose replaces your factory intake hose, which is very common to actually tear. So I picked this one up and I want to show you guys how I installed it with the catch can. Rather than replacing it with the factory unit, which costs about $140, the Forge induction pipe actually costs the same amount, and it's made of silicone instead of rubber. As you can see here, the intake induction pipe here is made of a very thick silicone composite material. It's resistant to heat and also resistant to tearing. One thing that I'm very happy with the fit and finish is they send it with its own set of hose clamps. I'm not a big fan of factory hose clamps, and they actually send this little piece of silicone hose here that actually runs from the induction pipe and runs to the valve cover head. And traditionally, you would be introducing the intake temperature sensor between these two sections of silicone hose, but in this case, we're not going to be using this in the traditional way because we're going to be using the oil catch can. As you guys can see here, I do have an oil catch can set up with the factory hoses. Unfortunately, I will not be able to use this exact setup with the Forge intake pipe because the factory hoses are set up just slightly different for the intake temperature sensors. I'll have to make a few alterations to the factory hoses, and it shouldn't be too different and it shouldn't be too difficult to follow. So I picked up a few of these hose fittings at 90-degree bends. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to be using these, but I wanted to make sure that this stayed as clean as possible. So bought these. Let's see what we can do with these. I'm going to try to wing this and see if I can come up with a solution to route the oil catch can in a very similar path. I don't know if you guys can see here, but it's very common on Minis for the induction pipe to actually tear right here at the compressor housing. Given the car's mileage, it's pretty common. So if you guys haven't had issues with this, I would definitely recommend upgrading to a silicone hose, or just upgrading to at least the John Cooper works one. Since I'm not going to be reusing this plastic clamp, I'm just going to go ahead and break it. So because these are two different brands, the lengths are going to be a little bit off. So I'm going to have to figure out how to make this work, but this shouldn't be too difficult. It looks like I'm going to have to bring the angle of the induction hose slightly up to meet the mass airflow sensor and the Alta intake. We'll get it done. Kind of seems like the oil catch can is in the way, so this might be a situation where I have to replumb it, but for now I'm just going to get it out the way. So guys, what it seems like is, without forcing it, it looks like the 90-degree bend here is actually at a wrong angle. Matter of fact, it looks like it's too much of an angle. So I'm debating whether I should take out a section of the silicone hose from here at an angle so that it lines up with this without too much stress on the system. As you can see here, there's a huge gap right here. It's putting unneeded tension on the whole intake system here. So My speculation is that it's actually a little bit too long, so I'm thinking about taking a 1/2 inch out of the Alta intake pipe. It's kind of like a point of no return. If I cut this, there's no going back. So I want to be very sure and that this is going to actually solve the problem. As you guys can see here, I'm going to have to remove quite a bit of the Alta intake hose here in order to fit the Forge Motorsports induction hose in the system. So you can understand why I'm very hesitant and I want to measure twice before I cut. To ensure I cut the exact section and only the section that I need, I'm going to use a hose clamp at the measured section and then cut alongside of it. The hose clamp in place, I am free to cut. Wow, didn't realize how nerve-wracking this portion would be, since there's no way I can get another one of these today, which means the car would be inoperable until I could get another one. But let's do it. And as you can see, after that cut, they now made up perfectly. So guys, this is pretty much how I decided to plumb the oil catch can with the Forge Motorsports intake silicone hose. It seems to be the most straightforward route. In the future, I may decide to just come up with some type of bracket that goes from over here to here. I did have to relocate it to right by the Alta intake shield. It is not currently mounted to anything, but the lines are hard and they actually keep it in place for the time being. I'm actually thinking about making some type of bracket that goes to the firewall there, but for now this is adequate. If you'll notice here, I did use all the components that came with the Forge Motorsports silicone hose. This was the hose here that was actually intended on going to the valve cover. I did retain the old valve cover hose and I reused that just as it was before, but instead I used a 90-degree bend to send the outgoing oil, the blow-by, to the catch can. So you guys can easily see what I've done here. It's basically the same thing. I just adjusted it for the distances, and that was pretty much it, guys. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it was a little bit shorter. I really appreciate you guys watching. Please like and subscribe and hit that alert button if you guys want to see more videos like this, little quick and easy videos on how I took care of things. And again, guys, as always, peace out and Godspeed.